Szoboszlai's 30-yard Thunderbolt ended Arsenal's Anfield hopes in a way that felt inevitable and shocking at once. There are matches that live in the mind because of the aggregate drama across 90 minutes, and there are matches that live because one single moment rewrites the story in an instant. This was the latter, a game that had been defined by restraint, tactical respect, and an almost fragile discipline, suddenly ripped open by a player stepping forward and turning a dead ball into a declaration. The context matters. Both sides had arrived with perfect records, the season still young but already sharp with expectation. The Anfield stands were full and humming with a sense that something consequential might happen. Arsenal had come to play with structure and pressing intent, hoping to suffocate Liverpool's rhythm and extract value from quick transitions. Liverpool, meanwhile, set out to be patient, to absorb and adjust, to trust in the balance between their defensive platform and flashes of attacking invention. Minds and enough. That balance held for lengthy stretches. Arsenal's midfield pairing worked tirelessly to close lanes and to make Liverpool's distribution difficult. Noni Madou vertical runs tested the fullbacks. Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi provided the kind of discipline that makes counter-attacking teams hesitate. But football at this level is as much about the tiny rehearsed ruptures as it is about the big tactical arcs, and the night's decisive moment came from one such rupture. An early injury to William Saliba complicated Arsenal's carefully laid plan. Forced substitutions always carry an invisible penalty in terms of rhythm and cohesion, and while Christian Mosquera did enough to keep the team steady, the substitution shifted the defensive chemistry just enough to leave thin seams elsewhere. Klopp's champions under Arne Slot now showed a quiet composure. They did not panic when pinned. Instead, they adjusted shape, tucked fullbacks when needed, and let the central midfield, Gravenberch in particular, become the gearbox that allowed the engine to change pace. It was a match that felt like a chess game where both sides were conserving pieces, waiting for an opening to create a decisive imbalance. Those openings rarely arrive by accident. Curtis Jones, a player whose energy has a habit of arriving when the game needs it most, was hauled down 30 yards from goal. The foul looked routine, the kind of moment commentators sometimes breeze over, but the place and moment transform. Liverpool have trained set pieces as weapons. They recruit players with the license to take responsibility. Nominally occupying an unfamiliar right-back role, had the technical pedigree and the mental confidence to stand over the ball. When the stadium quieted and the ball waited on the turf, what followed felt less like improvisation and more like the execution of something rehearsed until it became inevitable. His run, the shape of his body, the contact point, all combined to send a ball that dipped and swerved in a way that made the net look like destiny. David Raya stretched, but the trajectory was cruel to his reach. The ball found the far corner and Anfield became a volcano. The effect on the game was immediate and seismic. Arsenal, who had managed long spells of the match with structure and patience, suddenly had their plan punctured. Managers at this level prepare for so many variables, personnel changes, tactical shifts, pressing traps, but a set piece executed with that level of audacity and precision is the kind of thing that breaks the back of carefully assembled tactics. Arteta responded with urgency. Substitutes were introduced to reshape the attack, to put pressure on Liverpool's defensive organisation, and to find an equaliser before the clock became a tyrant. Those substitutions altered the rhythm, granting Arsenal more possession in the final third and sharper threats, but they also required the team to commit numbers forward and to expose them to counters. Liverpool responded with veteran calm. Virgil van Dijk, reading situations with the composure of someone who knows how to survive storms, marshalled the backline. Konaté's physical interventions removed aerial threats and helped close space when Arsenal sought to flood the box. The match, once destined perhaps for a point shared, was now a test of mental resilience and game management. Where this sort of match is often won is in the margins, the timing of a press, the concentration to avoid a needless pass, the willingness of a player to take a personal risk for collective reward. Szoboszlai's contribution was emblematic. He had been tasked with responsibilities that night that required both defensive discipline and the capacity to create something from nothing. That duality is central to modern football and why hybrid players matter so much. For Arsenal, the result leaves questions that will be pored over in training rooms. Did the conservative approach in personnel choices, the desire to avoid being countered, keep them from using the game's early moments to push Liverpool more? Did Saliba's injury so early change the team's confidence and the way they saw the remainder of the match? These are not merely tactical quibbles, they are leadership and identity questions. For Mikel Arteta, the puzzle is how to convert the structural competence he demands into decisive moments when games are tight. It is also a reminder that when you travel to Anfield, margins are thin and history is heavy. Arsenal's run without a league win there since 2012 felt like it hung over the night in a way that adds extra pressure to every move. Meanwhile, the victory has resonance beyond the 3 points. With Manchester City dropping points earlier in the day, Liverpool's win created distance and supplied the kind of momentum champions crave. Confidence accumulates in subtle ways, through narrow wins, through moments that build belief that you can find results when the game resists expansive football. There is an anatomy to such moments. Yes, the shot was beautiful, power, dip, late swerve. But behind that clip are hours of practice, coaching insistence, and a dressing room culture that encourages initiative. Set pieces, far from being mere stopgap opportunities, represent a field of study for major clubs, and to master them is to tilt the season in small but decisive increments. The players' performances in this match reflect temperament more than statistics. Szoboszlai earned man of the match honours not only for the strike, but for the discipline that allowed him to balance the flank defensively and still find the creative space to deliver. Van Dijk's presence calmed nervous moments. Konaté's physicality removed second-phase threats. Curtis Jones's energy was a catalyst even beyond the foul that led to the goal. For Arsenal, Noni Madu's burst supplied danger, but the team lacked the finishing touch and the big moment that turns competition into victory. Tactically, the night was instructive. Liverpool's willingness to allow players to live between roles, fullbacks tucking in to create midfield overloads, midfielders stepping into shooting lanes, gave them the hybrid profiles necessary in tightly contested matches. Arsenal's approach, disciplined and compact, succeeded for long moments but ultimately left them vulnerable to one rehearsed rupture. The bigger picture matters. The Premier League's title race is young, but narratives form quickly. A single strike at Anfield can be reframed as a statement about mentality and intent. Fans and pundits will replay the goal, managers will review how to defend similar moments next time, and coaches will refine training drills to either reproduce or prevent such outcomes. As the international break arrives, both teams will carry the consequences into preparation. Liverpool to consolidate confidence and reinforce the habits that created the chance. Arsenal to convert the frustration into tactical learning and greater offensive courage on the road. That is the human side of elite sport. Mistakes are instructive, brilliance is contagious, and seasons are shaped by a series of nights where small details become defining. In the end, the match will be remembered for a single, unforgettable act, a 30-yard strike that bent like a verdict and left Anfield roaring. Champions find new ways to win and opponents learn how costly the smallest lapse can be. Both teams will learn, adapt, and return hungrier, and football watchers will be watching every move with renewed appetite, emotion,